Alright guys, so we're back at this. The first thing we're gonna do in this video is we're gonna put on some gearboxes. These are some gearboxes I've already designed. I'll probably go through later and do a tutorial on how to design a gearbox, because that's interesting too. But for the sake of this series, I'm just gonna go ahead and import one that I already have designed. Let's see if I can't find it. That'll work. So just a little rundown on this gearbox as I import it. Single stage reduction, uses 2 Falcon 500s. It's got a 's supposed to have a 9-tooth pulley or pinion going to an 84-tooth large gear. Yeah. So as we can see, that's how the gearbox is going to sit, but I currently don't have any bolt holes and no real way to constrain this. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the bolt holes in the rail. First thing I'm going to do is figure out what my bolt pattern is. So from that to that hole, it's 1.5 inches, and then from that hole to that hole, 7.25. So 1.5 by 7.25. I'm probably going to forget that. So if you didn't see that, I can click on this and right click and I can press open, and that'll open back up what you're working on. And I'll start a 2D sketch here, and then we can go back and select our rectangle because it's still in the polygon from making the spacer. And then what was it? 7.25 by 1.5. Cool. And then we can dimension to get it centered on this hole. We know that that needs to be 1.5 divided by 2. And then this needs to be 7.25 divided by 2. Cool, so that's centered there. Ooh, I actually messed up, I didn't need to close that sketch yet. And then I can just come and drop points on the outside of that. Hoping I don't run into an issue here, but if I do, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, so we can see that hole's way too big. These are actually made to use 1/4-inch bolts, just like that. And now you can see this gearbox wasn't designed to be used with a drop center, so there's a slight issue there. But for the sake of this tutorial, we are going to leave that. You do not want to be that far into your wall, ever. Like, you just don't want to be into your wall, ever. But for this, it'll be okay. And then I can come back to, sorry about the dogs barking in the background, but, you know, I can come back, and now my holes are here, and we can see that they line up just fine. And then, yeah, I can come in and do the same thing. Remember 3 constraints and you're good to go. It's not like real life where if I leave out a bolt hole, I lose a gearbox on field. It's not going to happen in CAD. Alright, so now we have gearboxes and everything is in here. You can see this was actually made for something with a little bit it was actually made for the smaller wheels, so if I had to guess, it's about 1 inch short. A little bit less than 1 inch, but you get the idea. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make our shafts for our outside wheels. So I just need to figure out what dimension that needs to be, and I can do that by measuring from here to here, and we can see that 4.452, that is our dimension. I might go a little bit big just because I'll probably end up rounding up to 4.5, because it's okay to be a little bit big on these shafts, not much, but for manufacturing's sake, we're gonna go ahead and do these big because we usually cut them in-house, and not a lot of people know what to do when you hand them a paper that says, say, cut this to 4.42 inches with a miter saw. So to make my hex shaft, I grab my polygon tool, and we'll dimension it just like before. Except this time, we want to go to an actual 0.5, because we're not 3D printing this, right? This is a real part. And then I like to use Thunder Hex, and so Thunder Hex has a 0.2 inch hole in the center. And then the cool thing about Thunder Hex is it has a 13.75 millimeter radius on the outside. Worth noting, your units default to the inches, so if you ever want to do something in metric, you have to add your units behind it, and it works just fine. So now we have this kind of jumble of shapes, right? And I can finish that sketch, and you'll see when I click extrude, you got to be careful about where you click, because I can extrude this, I can extrude this, I can extrude that. If I just wanted to extrude this little piece, I could do it. But that's not what I want to do, right? No, I want to extrude this piece right there, and we want to do it to, we'll do 4.4. We'll go just a little bit short. Or, you know what, for the sake of this, 4.43. Perfect. That's fine. It's better to be more accurate. Like I said, it's always a balance between manufacturability and accuracy and everything. What I like to do just to make it look better is we'll go through and we'll set our materials on our tube stock and everything here in a bit, but I like to go ahead and make these aluminum, and then we can scroll down in our appearance. So this is what material it is, and this is the appearance it's going to have. And so in my appearance, the gunmetal looks like the black anodization that VexPro sends it with. So we'll just file save as shaft, right? Because there's only one shaft we're going to need for this. We can go back here. And we can now place. Got to go back to this. Here. We can now place our shaft. And then, sorry, if you ever see like my constrain tab pop up or anything without me clicking it, I have shortcuts set on my mouse, but it's okay if you don't have that. You can do it all without it. So if you didn't see that, one reason I like to go ahead and do the radius on my hex shaft in here, I could just leave it as a hex and it would serve the purpose and be fine, but I've started actually doing the radius just because it makes it easier to constrain, because I can click on this edge right here and that centers it, and then I can do a normal concentric constraint just like that. And we want to do flush this to here. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to check my fit up. Oh yeah, that looks good. That'll work. And now we just gotta go through and do them all just like that. You'll notice sometimes it has a mind of its own and selects something, so this number 2 button up here is sometimes your best friend. Alright guys, thanks for checking in, and I hope you're following along and building one of these yourself. Yeah. Thanks for coming.